Can you get rich in London? Now, I recently came across a video from Chizo Lifts, their new Connect channel, where they've been like posting a lot of old videos. And this video is pretty old, but I want to react to it. And I want to give my opinion. And I'll try and react in real time. This might be long, but let's just get straight into it, man. You know the vibes.
When you get to 65, if you've not looked after yourself financially, you're going to be in trouble. Physically, you're in trouble. Mentally in trouble, and also with your family. Because there's a lot of men now who are 65 and have got no one around them.
Do you think you're
He mentioned something there about looking after yourself physically, which I think, I'm glad he did mention that, because it kind of goes overlooked. Obviously, we know statistically, I did a video about this, about 65% of men in the UK are either overweight or obese. It's actually over 70% for black women, which is very, very scary. So, and then we talk about in our communities where we have high rates of like high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, all these issues that we get in our community, that does play a role. Let's continue.
You're staying here until 65?
I don't intend to be here in the next year.
There you go.
I don't intend to be in this country. This country is rubbish. No. People are just pretending.
Now, this video is old because I know that they've been reposting a lot of old clips. I don't think this is like a new video. But interesting what he says. This your country's rubbish. I plan to leave soon.
No. You're working literally to pay your bills. And it wasn't like that years ago. So when people say, oh, but you're meant to work. Yes, you're meant to work. But when I was looking at some stats, in the 1980s, the average home was 200 and... Let me find it now.
I am going to speed some of this up, so, you know, we'll get to the money.
In 1985, average house price in the UK was £29,000. The average salary was £14,000. Look at this. The average salary was £14,000 in 1985, and the average home was 29 grand. That was just double.
Right. Very, very interesting. I'm glad he points this out, because obviously the point of this video is you can't get rich in England or in the UK or in London. And the enormous increase in the value of houses or the cost of houses has played a big role in that, because of that increase in price, rent goes up. Everything else just seems to get harder. So if you're spending more money to rent, like you couldn't just rent and save at the same time because your salary is not in line with the raising prices of the houses, as we kind of know this anyway. Housing system in the UK is, especially in major cities and specifically London, is totally effed, which is why I've even moved out of London, you know, not too far. I'm only like 45 minutes, but, you know, luckily I was able to get my own place, 2-bedroom house on my own. No partner, nothing like that, which was, I'm lucky. Let's continue.
The average salary now in the UK is what?
You and your woman could pay that in 4 years.
The average salary now in the UK is roughly about 30 odd K.
I do love his passion.
Property price in the UK now is 240 something for a house. It's 10 times nearly. It wasn't like that. Is it? Imagine now. So what we're meant to be on right now technically is, if the average is 240, if we was to keep with the level or the ratio back then, we should be on about 100K.
Yeah.
If the average was 100K, who would be stressed right now?
No one.
That is a great question. If the average salary was 100K, really it should be 125K, but I get his point. I'm just being nitpicky. No one will be stressed, because if in 1985 it was 14.5K salary and average house price was 29K, and now it's 250K average house price, but the average salary is 30K or 35K, we can see there's been something's gone wonky along the way. And there's a reason why when people talk about, oh, you know, save up, cancel your Netflix, get less coffee. Like, yo, people my age can't buy houses doing those little tactics. You'd have to save for like 50 years. But the reality is the wages haven't increased in line with the cost of housing, which is causing more issues, causing more people to have to stay at home till their mid-30s, or they've got to rent forever and they won't be able to buy ever because it's hard to rent and save at the same time, especially if you're in London. The prices of rent, you can't even buy a box at the moment. So, yeah, something ain't right. And you know, there's a kind of, not a conspiracy theory, but there's obviously something happening where they're squeezing the middle class. And I don't know, some of you may be of this belief or not, but there is an agenda to get rid of the middle class. There's going to be people that just don't have disposable income. And it's going to be, you've got the lower class people that are just relying on the state. So they're heavily state reliant, benefits, and you've got the wealthy who can do whatever the F they want. That's what some people believe is coming. That's what some people believe we're on the route to. I haven't dug into it enough to say, but I do think something's taking place. Let me say that. Let's continue.
Sure, on 140k.
We're finished.
Yeah, we're finished.
This country, we're working just to pay bills.
Bro, one of the men tweeted yesterday.
Rubbish.
Houses in Lekki and Banana Island.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here.
For the whole of it.
Of course.
But looking at London, and I always make a point that I live in Zone 5. I live in Croydon. I've got a 2-bed flat that I'm paying $13.50 for. When I start calculating all of my extra expenses, okay, so, and I always like to do the math, so $13.50, you add another £100 for council tax, that's $14.50. Add another sort of $2.50 free bills for your electric, water, and all of that, and gas. That's now $14.50, let's call it $16.50, yeah? Talk about food. Let's call it what, £200 a month? That's $18.50. Let's talk about transport, £50 a week?
Gabriel, you're not paying £200 a month on food, bro. Stop capping. I'm a single man on my own and I'm spending more than £200 a month on food. I'm probably close to like $300-350, bro. That is cap.
£50 a week, it's another 200. That's 2,050.
Yeah.
Remember, I haven't bought any clothes. I haven't done anything yet. I'm on 2,050. What else I may have missed out? Let's say I've got a car.
Yeah.
You know, the typical thing nowadays is to finance or lease. Let's say I've got a little Golf. That might cost me what? Maybe.
Bills.
Yeah.
How much is that? How much was your Mercedes you had a month?
356.
Okay, so let's call it 250. Let's call it.
Well, now they've gone up.
Let's call it 2,450 now. That's for your lease for your car. Now you got to talk insurance. Call it another £100. I'm on 2,550.
On bills.
I haven't done anything fancy yet.
Yeah.
Now, what is that salary wise after tax? That's like a 40k salary.
Yeah.
You're just paying your bills.
Yeah.
One could argue and say, okay, you don't need to be in a 2-bed, you could be in a 1-bed. Even if it's a 1-bed, that would be about £1,200.
Yeah.
Because this is a 1-bed, right?
No, they're not gonna say that. Yeah, this is a 1 bed. They're gonna tell you go flat share.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but
Upstairs flat share at the man them, so you might be paying like 8 bills.
But as a grown man of my age,
Yeah.
and once again, this is not.
So he's talking about, obviously, you know, he's got a flat in Croydon. He's paying $13.50. I don't know if he's bought it or if he's renting it. Actually, what he's paying is more than what I pay in Kent, and I've got a 2-bedroom house. I've got an outhouse, so I've actually got an office, massive shed, and a good sized garden and a front garden. And I actually pay less than that. I pay about $12.50 for my mortgage, which is interesting. My council tax is quite high, to be fair. But the point he's making is, you know, if you factor in all your outgoings, so if you factor in obviously gas, electric, water bill, Wi-Fi, and then obviously groceries, and then you've also got to factor in your car, especially if you even if you move out of London, that's even more kind of prominent because you kind of need a vehicle. If you're in London, you could probably get away with not having a vehicle. So even if we factor in all these different things, the cost is still crazy, right? And that's without doing anything fancy. That's no clothes. That's not going on any holidays. No dating, which obviously if you're single is different. If you're partnered up, still you're going to go on dates with your partner as well. So when you factor all these things and then you factor in what the average salary is, you're then starting to realize, bro, how do you even live? Like, how do you live? That's the question I wonder. Like, you can't live, which is why so many people are leaving.
This is not. People peak at different points, but most, and not that we should care what women say, but most of the stuff us guys tend to do is scares around women. I don't believe any woman who meets a guy who's 38, 39, 40, and he says he lives at home with his mum or rents a room. Generally, he's going to be like, oh, okay, that's fine, that's okay. How can you be a grown man and you're working full time in a first world country, yet you can't afford to live by yourself? On 40k, on 40k for you to survive and have a car, one could argue you don't need to have a leased car, but let's just say it's nice to have one.
Yeah.
You need to be on £2,500. That's just to break even.
Yeah.
So now let's add the rest of the stuff. Maybe you want to go on a little holiday. You maybe want to go to a little club, a little bar. That's another maybe £5 a month. Then you got to talk about savings. That's another £5. So you need to be on about 3.5k a month, which is about what? A 50 odd salary. Who's earning 50k? There are people earning 50k, don't get me wrong. But
So he asked the question, who's earning 50k? And the good thing is I'm on my laptop as I'm making this. And I'm gonna actually answer that question for him, so we can actually, have an answer to this. How many people earn 50k per year in the UK? It's a good question to ask. And according to the AI overview on Google, I'm not quite sure I trust Google's AI search tool, but let's just see what it says. It says, according to the latest stats in 2019, about 4.5 million people in the UK earned over 50k annually, representing about 14% of the population. This group accounted for 40% of total income, 66% of total tax collected, according to the survey of personal incomes. I'm just going to press the link on that just so I can feel like, that sounds a bit legit. Let me just press the link. Yep. Lovely. Okay, that's come from the Gov UK. All right, I'll take that. So, as we can see, there aren't a lot of people making that kind of money. 14%. So the likelihood is, you probably know one person that makes that kind of money. Let's continue.
it's not that.
What's 50 after tax?
50 after tax, I'll tell you now. Let me got my salary calculator. 1 second. They're looking at 50,000 divided by 12.
Let's just skip through.
I can't afford to buy a house in Korea.
So for the average person, what do they do?
Nothing. Okay, look at inflation rates. They've gone up now. Mortgages have gone up.
Yeah.
Like there's guys I know
Yeah.
who have got properties, bare properties. They're now trying to find £3,500 more every month just to cover their mortgages. This is real life. He's now trying to find £3,500 to cover his mortgages.
What?
This country's finished. Okay. Do you live by yourself?
No, I live with my mum.
Okay. Look at what you earn now as a 24-year-old. One would argue and say you earn a decent wage for your age, for what you do.
Yeah.
Just imagine you stepped out your mum's house and now you jumped into my shoes.
Yeah.
Of just say you're paying 1350 or even paying 1200.
Yeah.
You calculate all of your expenses now. What would you have left?
I'd probably break even and just be on zero. I could
You're working full time.
yeah, more than
Right. So he makes a really good point, and it's something that I've said previously. I made a video probably sometime last year, and I actually said that a lot of men should stop having kids. Because if you can't look after yourself, what right do you have to be bringing life into the world? Like, I'm a wary person anyway when it comes to looking after myself, yeah? And I always say to guys, yeah, like, take your time, man. There's no point trying to pop out babies left, right, and center if you ain't got no money. I don't understand that. Me personally, I don't understand it. Like, if right now, I can afford to have a child. I probably would still need some help in terms of I couldn't, right now my missus would still have to work. Yeah, if I had a child, if I had a missus, she'd still have to work. I wouldn't be able to give her everything. But, I could manage. I could definitely manage 100%. So, but when I see guys who don't have money popping out kids, I'm like, bro, are you crazy? You're putting yourself in more of a hole, right? But what he said is like, that's why I haven't moved out. The cameraman said that's why I haven't moved out. He's staying at his mum's. I stayed at my mum's till I was 28. And my circumstances was a little bit different because I lived in America till I was 24. I came back and I didn't have a job. I never built I wasn't even working like a normal job, 9 to 5 in America because I couldn't. I was on a student visa. My life's different. So I was okay. I didn't mind. I would have stayed at my mum's till I was 30, 35 because I gave myself grace and I didn't care what other people were thinking. But he's right. Like, what man is going to be 35, 40 wanting to stay at home at his mum's or renting a room in a flat share? No man is going to do that or want to do that. And then he does make another good point that I agree with. Like, whether you like it or not, I think men take pride in leading. We want to lead, and I feel like there's a sense of fulfillment when you're gonna, when people look to you to lead, right? That's a fulfilling feeling. Sorry, that's a bit of a mouthful. So when you know that, like, cool, you can't do that if you know your scenario ain't right. And we talk about birth rates, right? And I'm pretty sure if I read this correctly, birth rates in the UK are declining. If I'm right. Boom, I'm right. So 2023, the UK's birth rate experienced a significant decline. And I knew I read that somewhere, with the lowest number of live births since 1977 and the lowest total fertility rate since records began in 1938, right? And I have a feeling, and I'm sure there's some statistics, there's like some research and opinion pieces around this, but I have a feeling that a big part of birth rates falling is because of stuff like this. Guys don't have money. So why you want to have kids when you ain't got money? And also the women are probably looking at the guys like, bro, you ain't got no bread. And I ain't even got no bread. So if you ain't got bread and I ain't got bread, why should we have kids? So this will come to a head at some point because we got to have babies to keep society running. But there's a reason why people aren't having babies, right? There's a reason why. And the average age of having your first kid has gone up. It's like 31 now or something like that. Let's continue.
and then you've got parents kicking out their children early
I can put away
because they don't get on, and you're starting at a minus. Maybe it's the children who are being too rebellious, so therefore the parents kick them out. But once again, this situation we're in right now is effed. You're working full time, and if you moved out, you would just about break even. All your luxuries gone.
I'd have nothing.
Nah, it's finished. 2,500 is what you need to break even to live by yourself in zone 5. In zone 5, 2,500. And someone could argue once again, you don't need to have a car. That's true. So let's take away the car out of there. That will drop you down to maybe 2,050, which is basically, what is that salary?
But then you're at the mercy of public transport.
Yeah.
So you could argue you lose
money.
money.
By the time you're gonna
lose money from public transport.
It's mad.
And just time.
Everyone's faking happiness right now.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's faking happiness. Because unless you're on that sort of money, or you're renting a room, or you've got a council property or housing association, you're struggling. Because even when people think, oh, I'm going to earn 100k and be a millionaire, you're going to be on just above or under 5k after tax. And if you're going to be a family man, there's nothing left.
Bro, I was talking to someone yesterday.
And he makes a great point, because if you're going to be a family man, there's nothing left. And this is why I think the men that are doing it don't get enough praise. We do not praise the men that are looking after their family. They're holding it down. They're making their money. They're doing great things. I think we need to do more to highlight those individuals. We've got these crappy platforms like Shade Borough and whatnot. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with Shade Borough. Everyone needs their fix of tea. But we're not highlighting the men that are doing well, black and white. This is not just a black thing. Obviously, I'm reacting to black guys in the video, but we're not highlighting the guys that are doing the work and setting the standard. And because to hold down a family, wife, 2 kids, firstly, congrats, because it's expensive and you might be sacrificing some of your own personal things that you want. But like, we got a lot of these content creators and people that talk about what's a real man and all that stuff. Like, those guys are the people that we should be looking at. Like, yeah, wow, well done, you done it, good job, boom. So I wanted to just highlight that. Let's go. Nearly done.
There's like the civil plays and the Femela Bushes. They go to war. They go to war.
And he's referencing the riots in France.
No one wants to go to jail. So there's nothing that's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Like, the banks are in control. There's nothing that's going to happen. The Chancellor of Czechia is doing whatever he needs to do. Like, the banks have messed everything up. COVID happened and people use COVID as an excuse. For me, I don't want to be no conspiracy theorist, but for me, once again, it was a whole heap of nonsense.
Whew. COVID. He touched on a few bits there. One thing is, British people, we don't tend to riot or cause. When we protest, it's very lighthearted, and we'll protest for a day and it disappears, and then no one cares, and then it disappears. And we don't have a very rebellious nature, and also not enough people rebel, so therefore nothing ever gets done in the UK. And to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of protests anyway, because bro, nothing happens, man. Like, nothing ever happens. You're sitting there crying with your poster in London, and and then they say, okay, yeah, we'll do something. Then 2 days later, everything disappears. So it is what it is. You can call me fatalistic. It is what it is. But he mentioned something else, and the COVID stuff. And again, doesn't matter whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not. I know what I think. I've had too many arguments at the time. Now it's water under the bridge. But a lot of people let that COVID stuff happen, and then, you know, now we're facing the consequences of letting them basically bully us to stay inside and can't work and sit there and accept furlough money, which I couldn't get any furlough money because I wasn't employed, and that was my first year being self-employed, so I didn't even get the grant for self-employed people. So I had to really get it out the mud at that time. But the COVID thing was an excuse for them to do a lot of things to society. There was a lot of changes that happened, you know, all the low traffic neighborhoods, every single bus lane seems to be shut in London now. You can't even drive in the bus lane anymore. All these extra charges. And there was like all these little things they started adding. They changed the congestion charge time. I added all these crazy things to the airport. I can't even drop someone off. I went to the airport, I dropped someone off, brought them back. That's £14. And then another £4 to go through Blackwall Tunnel, then £4 on the way back. So basically, we're getting to the point where I can't do it. Anyone, you can't do anything. And that's okay because I can afford it. But the people that can't afford it, man, I don't know how they get through the day. Let's continue though. We're nearly there.
They did what they did, messed up the economy, gave away a whole heap of free money. When you do what they call quantitative easing, what happens is that the value of everything goes down, inflation goes up, and this is the problem we've got now. We're in trouble. And I don't say this lightly, that everyone's got to figure out what they're doing, because you cannot be working full time as a grown adult and have nothing left. You haven't done anything fancy. You haven't gone to any West End restaurant in Mayfair. You're just paying your bills. No. I'm out of this place. I'm out of this place. I'm not here long. And then even the people's temperament, people are not happy. There's no money in circulation. Like, even...
Oh, man. They need to get me on this, bro. I need to talk to these guys, bro, because, yeah, I don't like to be in the echo chamber. I do like to disagree with people, but I have to agree with one thing he said is people aren't happy here. And I don't want to say everyone's not happy here, because that's not true. Honestly, I'm pretty happy. And I like Kent, bro. I think one of the best things I did was moving out of London. I miss elements of London, and it's not like... It's more that I miss the ease of being around my family and friends. But to be honest, I'm not that far away from them, and I'm only about 30, 45 minutes outside of London. And on top of that, the rate at which I see my friends is the same rate at which I saw them when I was in London anyway. So to be honest, it hasn't like my day-to-day hasn't changed. But, you know, because there's not enough money in circulation, of course, people are less happy. That just makes sense. People are... You know, they're more unhappy people than happy people because there's less money going around. And that's for everybody. It's even harder on people that have families and that have more outgoings. But of course, because of these scenarios that have taken place, people are less happy. And if you go on London, you go on the train, you go on the tube, you know people are just zombified on their phones, not doing anything. We know that. We see that. So that's something that also makes it harder for you to level up when you're around bad vibes. And everyone talks about England's bad vibes or London's bad vibes or, you know, and the weather. Like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be bad vibes. If there's no money and people can't buy shit, of course there's bad vibes. Just
when people have money, you can put money into their life. I used to get a haircut every week. It's every 2 weeks now. I'm not paying for a haircut. I'm not paying £30 every single week. And these are little things that people don't realise is now, even the barber now who might have been getting that £30 of me every week is now not getting 120 a month, he's now getting 60 a month. Like, there's no money.
Bro, when I was PTing before COVID and even during COVID, books are busy as mad. Fast forward a year after COVID, once things start hitting everyone, who's the first person that gets hit? The PT. It's a luxury.
Yeah, it's a luxury.
It's a luxury.
Luxury-wise,
Yeah. So you get the message, Chiz, I would love to carry on, but this came up, rent's gone up, that's gone up, blah blah. I was like, you know what, I understand, you know. So the only thing that we're able to hold on to through this madness is the odd 1-2 parties. That's what people are using to just literally carry themselves through this madness. So even little things where we're talking about people don't want to train and this and that, etc. People are dealing with mad depression, and the only escape that they got is the raves.
Yeah. That's escapism.
Yeah, like that's the only time that they feel, you know what I mean, happy. So
imagine things are so tight that people are telling you to cancel a £13-14 a month Netflix subscription. When you think about it, £13 a month. We're in a first world country and people...
That's what I was saying. Cutting your Costa Coffee, your Netflix subscription, your Hulu, your Disney Plus, your Amazon Prime. If you got loads of subscriptions, yeah, it's going to make a difference. But, you know, if you're working full time, you should be able to enjoy those luxuries. You're working 40 hours a week, 40 to 60 hours a week. You should be able to enjoy your money. This
country is finished. Get out while you can. This country is finished.
So, is the country finished? I think that there's always hope, and I think England is what you make it sometimes. If you live in this negative hole, then yes, it is finished. If you stay optimistic and you believe in yourself and you believe in your ability to make things happen, then, you know, you'll be able to cut through and you'll be able to make it a positive experience. Now, I think one of the best ways to overcome the negative feelings or the negative energy that you may experience sometimes in England is to travel more. So, you know, for me, my plan is to basically not live full time in England anymore. I'm not going to give away my whole life, but, you know, I don't want to be here 24/7. I think that I just got back from Dubai 2 weeks ago and I just realized that, yeah, like living here full time isn't really what I want to do. So I think even if you don't want to live here full time, or if you're thinking about it, what you need to try and do is find a way that you can maybe split your time, maybe find a way to spend half the year here, half the year here, just, you know, and obviously that's going to depend on work and there's so many factors and variables. But I do think that the UK is at a bit of a crossroads. I think there's some people that are really struggling. There's some people that are flying, and there's a middle ground. But I'm worried that the middle ground won't last very long. Because like I said, I think that there is something happening to the middle class, and time will tell what is happening to them. But yeah, there's something that was an interesting take from these guys. I appreciate the message. I appreciate the passion of the way the way they deliver it. Sorry, I appreciate the passion, because for me, I like to see the way that, you know, they want to do something about it. They're talking about it, and starting the conversation is at least part of the journey. And you know, if anyone discovers this and you've left the UK, I would really love for you to tell me what your experience has been like. So please leave a comment. I made a video about leaving the UK probably about over a month ago, and I had a few people that had gone to places like Thailand, Bali, and they were talking about it. So if any of you have left the UK and you've successfully done it, you've migrated, I'd love to hear your opinion, your story. How did you do it? Is there any advice you can give to people that are thinking about doing it? And yeah, we'll go from there, man. Apart from that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I've been on a run. Hey, I've been consistent. I'm getting a hang of this YouTube thing, man. Low editing, just give you guys the raw game. Peace.